Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to Lockdown Lessons Part 39. With me today, I've got Mark Bott from Compton. So first thing I'd like to do is just say a big hello to you, Mark.
Hi, Phil. Thank you very much for inviting me to come on here. It's a pleasure.
No problem at all. No problem at all. So for the people that are actually watching this that don't know who you are and don't know what Compton do, perhaps you could give us a little bit of an insight, please, Mark.
Absolutely. So at Compton, we are a niche commercial property agency based in central London. We work with landlords and occupiers, advising them regarding their office space strategy in essence. And my name is Mark Bott. I am a director and head of flexible workspace here.
Lovely, thank you very much. So as you're already aware, the title of this interview is Lockdown Lessons. So the first question I usually ask around that is, at what point, you know, if we cast our minds back to March the 23rd last year, at what point did you think there might be a problem? You know, just before then, a long time before then? Yeah.
Good question. It seems like an eternity ago, given how much the time has flown by. We were actually skiing the end of January, and that was probably around the time that things were starting to kick off in the world, but it didn't really seem real, given where all the problems were and what was happening. And even the first lockdown felt very temporary in March last year. I think it wasn't until September, the second lockdown, where things started to feel a bit more serious. We still had business ongoing and things were almost running relatively normally, you can use that phrase. But the second lockdown in September last year, it kind of felt very real and things were changing and getting a little bit worse.
Yeah, I agree. But well done, first email. So for getting squeezing a holiday in just before it all kicked off in March last year. So that was a good call, wasn't it?
It's all about timing in life, Phil.
It is, absolutely, absolutely. So everyone I speak to has had an issue in some way, shape or form over the last sort of 15 months or so. And I'm sure Compton are no different. I've certainly been no different. But have you noticed any wins that you've seen along the way? Anything that's positive that's actually come out of this for you?
Well, I guess the biggest positive for us was a significant change we at Compton made. And actually last year we were at a different business, a big global business called Colliers International. And we made the brave, some might say crazy, move in terms of timing to peel away from a big corporate and move on our own and set up Compton as a business from the 1st of April this year. So we delayed the launch until after April Fool's Day. But that's been kind of in line with where the market started to open up again. So we've been somewhat fortuitous in that respect. But things have shifted, you know, significantly in terms of how businesses run and look to occupy their office space. And obviously things haven't reverted to normal given where we are at the moment, but we're starting to see some signs of life and activity back in the market, which is exciting. And I think we've gone through such a huge shift in that very short period of time since March last year that any win that comes through at the moment feels like a fantastic win. And it's exciting to see the City of London and London's in central London come back to life as to how it might once have been in the bygone era. So it's very exciting as we sit now.
Yeah, I'm off to the theatre tonight. In fact, I'm going to London twice in the next 2 days. So that's a big change for me already. So okay.
I think sorry to go. I think we'll look back in 5 years, or we look forward in 5 years. So I look back in 5 years' time. We'll say this was a crazy period of the world, and it won't seem real. But as we stand at the moment, it is very real. But who'd have thought that would be the situation? You're making 2 trips to central London for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a big deal at all a year ago. It would have been normal, well, a year and 5 months ago anyway, maybe. But so how have you managed to adapt to the sort of the situation that we found ourselves in then, Mark?
Yeah, very good question. So setting up a new business is a big adaptation, obviously, and everybody's asking us what are companies doing, how they're adapting, and we sit on various different strands in terms of central London property. One is from our landlords, where we market space on their behalf. And we're seeing occupiers wanting easy, simplified office space on more flexible terms. So we're actually developing a new initiative to allow occupiers to come in and take that space on flexible terms and a turnkey solution, very simple, giving them easy access to that space. And from an occupier perspective, working with those kind of clients at the moment, it's still very uncertain as to how they might occupy the space. Do they need it for every member of staff? So we're working with some interesting property technology companies that can access or can utilize the core space to enable them to book desks as and when they need it, but also access local facilities, kind of work from home model, rather than a work at home model.
Okay, so are you finding that landlords are being receptive to your request them to be a bit more flexible?
I think the inevitable has happened that the landlords have to take that viewpoint. I think that there was one huge change. That's a flight to quality in terms of office space. Occupiers want to provide good quality space for their staff, and also a range of amenities on site for their staff as well. So breakout space, lots of natural light, outdoor space we're seeing is a big demand at the moment. And as part of that, you have to be flexible, because it's very difficult, obviously, for businesses to exactly tell where they'll be in a couple of years' time. So there's certainly been a big shift in the market whereby landlords have had to be receptive to providing more flexible terms and a simple way of occupying space.
Absolutely, that's great news. So I suppose another question would be, so what changes have you had to make at Compton since the original lockdown kicked off that you're intending to continue on with?
So I think what we're doing, we were actually moving headquarters next month, and what we're delivering on our site is a facility, a coffee shop / cafe in our office space where we can engage and meet with people to really get to know them better. I think that's certainly key in this market, to have trusted advisors that understand the business. And one thing we've learned over this period of restrictions and being enforced to stay at home is they're all very sociable people and creatures, and we want to engage and get to know people. And that's often how the best relationships in business start, from there on onwards. So we're doing something a bit different to the rest of the market in providing our own cafe and restaurant on site, and we'll encourage people to come down and meet us and have a chat and discuss and see where it takes us from there on onwards.
No, that's great. That's great. I think it's nice to. I think a lot of people that have been okay doing it over Zoom for a little bit get to the point whereby, no, this is actually, I want to see someone live now. I've had enough of this. For all the good that Zoom's done for us, of course. But in terms of, what would you say you've learned about yourself then over the last sort of 15 months or so then, Mark?
That's a great question. I think, look, I've had a fantastic life. I've been very lucky. I've seen the world. I've enjoyed it very much. But certainly the situation has obviously been very perilous for lots of people, and very tragic for lots of people. It's really given me a new appreciation of life itself and how fragile it can be. And it's important to spend time with the most important people, our families, and enjoy every moment as best we can. And the transition now going back into something that was normal, to kind of find that balance going forward again. So really, it's being as appreciative as I can at everything in life that's given us.
Yeah, and I go along with that 100%. So then, just from a personal point of view, when the second or third lockdown or whatever it was sort of started to ease off, the last one anyway, what was the first thing you actually did when you were able to be released into the wide world then, Mark?
That's a good question. Yes, as you say, second, third, I can't quite remember all of them. I think I had a very good client of mine who's a good friend, and they were desperately keen to socialise in the environment which we were able to do so. So we did a bit of that. Look, being outdoors and enjoying walking around central London has been fantastic and great as well. Coming back into central London and seeing people, it's kind of all been great to do that. It's difficult to say what the very first thing I did was from that point of view, just kind of enjoying and embracing everything, even might I say, missing the commute somewhat as well in central London.
Yeah, you're not the first person that said that to me. That's interesting. So for the people that are watching this right now then, what type of businesses do you tend to attract? Which types of people would you like to speak to, and do you think you could help them, Mark?
So in terms of how we can help companies, really occupiers that want an office in central London would be our target client base there. And that could be anybody from one person up to the big global corporate. We've got a very niche mindset and mentality. We want to help people and give them the best advice. So any company that's looking in central London, we'd love to engage with them, have a discussion with them. And again, I think one of the changes that we've tried to make is really understand what's driving businesses and what changes they're making, and get to understand their different perspectives and points of view, because that's helped us adapt and provide a new initiative to provide to those occupiers as well.
Good stuff. Excellent. Thank you very much. So final question is, if anyone falls into that category and is looking for office space in central London and they want to have a chat at your lovely new coffee area, shall we call it, at your new premises when you move in, how can they best reach you, Mark?
We've got a website and Instagram, compton.london would be the website, and we'll have the launch of the new office very shortly as well. My email address is mb@compton.london, and my number is 07879890115.
Lovely. Well, I've got to say, it's been an absolute pleasure as always, Mark. Thank you so much. And yeah, catch up soon.
Look forward to it. Likewise. Thank you very much, Phil.
Take care. Bye.